Why, hello everyone! I'm your lovely host, Innocent, and welcome back to another CreepyPasta with commentary. From the user Kit Katsune, we have the suggestion of Smile.Dog. Well, get those grins going, cause we're in for a ride. I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed, since I was not a newsman, but rather an amateur writer gathering information for a few early college assignments and, if all went according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business. But, at the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet with me. For half an hour, I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listened and taking notes while I listening and taking notes. Okay. I'm just going to correct that. I listened and took notes while he attempted fruitlessly to calm his wife. The things Mary said made little sense, but fit with the pattern I was expecting. Though I could not see her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an incoherent diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. I mean, they're basically the same thing. Just one's scary for the person. Come on. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride. Recall, I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Sure, dude. You do you. You just kind of seem stupid at this point, but okay. Mary E. was a psyops? Psysop? Was the psysop? Mary E. was the psysop for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992 when she had first encountered Smile.jpg, and her life changed forever. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. My phone is an asshole. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of the esteemed 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the BBS, though she was the only one who had spoken openly about her experiences. The rest have remained anonymous, or perhaps dead. Dead? Really? Okay, whatever you say. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, Smile.jpg was first brought to my attention by my begrudging interest in web-based phenomenon. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred as Smile.Dog. The being Smile.jpg is reputed to display. Just gonna say this sounds really, really sketchy. Why is this popular? No. What caught my interest, other than the obvious macabre elements of this cyber legend and my proclivity towards such things, was the sheer lack of information. Usually, to the point people don't even believe it exists, other than as a rumor or a hoax. It is unique because, though the entire phenomenon centered on a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet. Certainly, many photo-manipulated simulacra litter the web, showing up most frequently on sites such as the image board 4chan, particularly the X-focused paranormal subboard. It is suspected that these are fake because they do not have the effect the true Smile.jpg is believed to have, namely the sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. Really? Sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. By viewing a picture that's supposedly haunted. Sure. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like Smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain, since it is patently absurd, though depending on whom you ask, the reluctance to acknowledge Smile.jpg's existence might just be as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. Neither Smile.jpg nor Smile.dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia. Probably is now, since it's a creepypasta, and that's definitely on Wikias. Let me tell you that. Though, the website features articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites, such as Hello.jpg or Two Girls One Cup. Any attempt to create a page pertaining to Smile.jpg is similarly deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with Smile.jpg are the stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverified rumors of Smile.jpg showing up in the early days of Usenet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002, a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire website Something Awful with a deluge of Smile.Dog pictures, rendering almost half of the forum's users at the time epileptic. Hello, I'm innocent. I can't talk. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that Smile.jpg circulated on Usenet and as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line, "Smile! God loves you!" Yeah, sure, God loves me. Hail Satan! Yet, despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there are very few people who admit to have experienced any of them, and no trace of the file or any link has ever been discovered. Those who claim to have seen Smile.jpg often weakly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description of the photo: a dog-like creature, usually described as appearing similar to a Siberian husky, illuminated by the flash of the camera, sits in a dim room, the only background detail that is visible being a human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. It looks very photoshopped, especially the one that most people do. So that hand isn't beckoning. It looks like it's kind of detached and not even connected to anything. So, beckoning is a little far-fetched, don't you think? Of course, most attention is given to the dog, or dog creature, as some victims are more certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is reputedly split in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, very straight, very sharp, very human-looking teeth. This, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims who claim to have seen the picture endlessly repeated in their mind's eye during the time they are in reality, having epileptic fits. So you're saying that the picture doesn't actually have a smiling dog, but when they're having an epileptic seizure, they are seeing the picture again, but now with the dog smiling with these very sharp human-looking teeth. Got it! So, why didn't you just say that in the first place? These fits are reported to continue indeterminately, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, though in some cases it is more effective than others. Moving on. Mary E., I assumed, was not on effective medication. That was why after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend-orientated news groups, websites, and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of a supposed victim of Smile.jpg who felt more in talking about his experiences. For a time, nothing happened at length, and I forgot completely about my pursuits, since I had begun my freshman year of college, and was quite busy. Mary contacted me via email, however, near the beginning of March of 2008. Added by Moose Juice to jm@blank.com from marye@blank.net. Subject: last summer's interview. Dear Mr. L. I'm incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you'll understand that it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realize that I could have handled the situation more discoursely. However, I hope that you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years I have been haunted by Smile.jpg. Smile.Dog comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. There is an ineffable quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I've ever had. I do not move, I do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand. I see Smile.Dog. It talks to me. It's not a dog, of course, though I'm not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone, if only I do as it asks. All I must do, it says, is spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands. I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to somebody else. And I could. The week after my incident, I received in the mail a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without having to check, I knew precisely what was on it. I thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a coworker. I could even show it to Terrence, as much as the idea disgusted me. And what would happen then? Well, if Smile.Dog kept its word, I could sleep. Yet, if it lied, what would I do? And who was to say something worse would not come of me if I did as the creature asked? So I did nothing for 15 years, though I kept the diskette hidden among my things. Every night for 15 years, Smile.Dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years, I have stood strong, though there have been hard times. Many of my fellow victims on the BBS board, where I first encountered Smile.jpg, stopped posting. I heard some of them committed suicide. Others remain completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web. They are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. L. But last summer, when you contacted me and my husband about the interview, I was at a near breaking point. I decided I was going to give you the floppy diskette. I did not care if Smile.Dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You're a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would not feel any sorrow when you took the diskette as part of your research and sealed your fate. Before you arrived, I realized what I was doing was plotting to ruin your life. I could not stand the thought, and in fact, I still cannot. I am ashamed, Mr. L. And I hope that this warning will dissuade you for further investigation of Smile.jpg. You may in time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then wholly more depraved, someone who will not hesitate to follow Smile.Dog's orders. Stop while you are still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terrence contacted me later the month with the news that his wife had killed herself. While cleaning up the various things she had left behind, closing email accounts and the like, he happened upon the above message. He was a man in shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He found the diskette. He revealed and burned it until it was nothing but a stinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted, like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first I thought perhaps it was a joke, with the couple belating playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago's newspapers' online obituaries, however, proved that Mary E. was indeed dead. And now she's dead. Whatever shall we do? There was, of course, no mention of suicide in the article. I decided that, for the time at least, I would not further pursue the subject of Smile.jpg, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has an odd way of testing us. Almost a full year after I returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I received another email. To jml@blank.com from elzahir82@blank.com. Subject, Smile. Hello. I found your email address through a mailing list. Your profile said you were interested in Smile.Dog. I have saw it. It is not as bad as everyone says it is. I have sent you here. Just spreading the word, smiley face. The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was one file attachment called, naturally, Smile.jpg. I considered downloading it for some time. It was most likely a fake, I imagined. And even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of Smile.jpg's particular powers. Mary E.'s account had shaken me, yes, but she was probably mentally unbalanced anyway. After all, how could a simple image do what Smile.jpg was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with only the power of the eye? And if such things were patently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? Because it's the internet! Come on, dude! You should know better. If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and if Mary turned out to be correct, if Smile.Dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give until I did or died? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to put it to rest? And if I chose the later route, how could I do it? Whom would I have burdened in turn? If I went through with my earlier intention to write a short article about Smile.jpg, I decided I could attach it as evidence, and anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest, would be affected. And even assuming the Smile.jpg attached to the email was genuine, would I be capricious enough to save myself in that matter? Could I spread the word? Yes. Yes, I could. Well, that was Smile.jpg or Smile.Dog, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It was definitely an interesting story, one of the better written ones, other than a few grammatical errors here and there, and I would triple check your spelling if you want to post something like a creepypasta like this in particular. Not only are you playing the part of somebody who's in college, they are trying to be somebody who writes articles. They would, at the very least, triple check their spelling. So you might want to do that too, or at least run it through a Word document, or have a friend look at it for you. Just saying. Because there are some parts in that I questioned. But again, on a scale from Jeff the Killer to Harry Potter, it's still a solid 5. Which is 1 to 10, if you weren't catching on. Anyway, this is still pretty good for a creepypasta, and I will admit it was a lot of fun reading. I didn't have a lot of commentary as I thought I would, so whatever. If you want to hear me read a creepypasta, leave it in the comments below. Hell, I even have a whole email dedicated to receiving creepypastas. Even if you write your own creepypasta, I will read it. Just don't send me anything that would be deemed illegal. Or non-creepypasta reading-esque, please. Thank you. Well, that has been my journey into Smile.Dog. Are we all going to be haunted in our nightmares of a smiling dog telling us to spread the word? Who knows? Only time will find out. Good night. Don't let the bedbugs bite.